Okay, so Den of Thieves 2 Pantera. Yeah, this is the sequel to the 2018 Den of Thieves. You know, it is again written and directed by Christian Gudegast. The film is produced by Gerard Butler, Mark Canton. Who else do we have? Alan Siegel, Tucker Tooley. It is executive produced by Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent, right? John Bernard, Gary Burkhard, Sorara Dalmia, Mark DeSouza, Glenn DeFague, Zev Foreman, Gregory Jensolon, Jen Gorton, O'Shea Jackson Jr., Jesh Krishma Murphy, Christian Parent, Greg Renker, Mark Skalberg, Swen Temmel, Philip Woolley, Meadow Williams, and Christian Gudegast. Gudegast, yes. It is associate produced by Gary Burkhard. We have line production by Carl Welton, Xavier Wakefield, and Geordie Beringer, and it is co-produced by Daniel Kaslow and Sirius Sky Khan. Okay, so Kevin Matley took care of the music. Terry Stacy was on cinematography. Robert North took care of the editing duties. Lucy Lennox, John Papasadea, and Finian Tweed handled all the casting. Sebastian Inizan is production design. Art direction, we have Rodrigo Busto, Antonio Calvo Dominguez, and Linnell Mathas. Federico Del Ciro is set decoration. Costume design is Christina Sopena. Hair and makeup and all of that jazz. We have got Sonia Blanco, Jezabel de Leon, Jasmine Duffy, Elias Diaz, Erica Garcia, Barbara Guerrera, Carolina Montes, Esther Munez, Hadrian Nobarega, Dan Perry, Talia Rodriguez, Ruben Samos, Christina Spinner, Susana Sanchez, and Nuria Vala. Okie dokie. So we then have got okay, let's do the cast. Okay, so we have some returning people, right? Gerard Butler once again plays Nick O'Brien. O'Shea Jackson is Donnie Wilson again. And we have our new cast, right? So Giovanna, aka Cleopatra, right, is played by how do we pronounce this? Evin Ahmad. Right, Merriman's girlfriend. Yeah, I forget. She is back. Holly, played by Meadow Williams. We've got, who else do we have? Salvaco, played by Salvatore Esposito. Dragon, played by Orli Shuka. Florentine, played by Cristian Solimeno. There is Shava, played by Nazimi Oral. Marco, played by Dino Kelly. Zamba, played by Fortuna Sorellino. Hugo, played by Yazin Zatz Atur. Connor, played by Michael Bisbin. Giuseppe Scalacchi plays Musa. Vigo is played by Rico Verhoeven. Zook is played by Velibor Topić. Tammy, played by Antonio Bustov. We got the Octopus, played by Andrino Charamida. Milan Lovon, played by Sven Temmel. And Pap, played by Cyril Garn. So the gist of the film, right? It's, as I say, it's a sequel to the 28 film. Now the stakes have never been higher as enemies become allies, and the innate brotherhood, humor, and tension between Nick and Donnie reach new heights as they join forces to plot a massive heist at the world's largest diamond exchange. Right? So yes, that is the thing. Now, I will say, right, I thought this is probably a better put together film than the first, right? Definitely that. But there's a lot of things that don't necessarily make sense, right? We open up again with a slick kind of heist, you know, showcasing some driving, maneuvering, and all of that kind of jazz. You know, and the action scenes aren't bad, right? They're okay. Some of them are a bit hard to believe, but, you know, it is what it is. But we have a film where, so you get the sense some time has passed, but I don't think it's very clear exactly how long. I feel in one place it said something like, I don't know, 6 years or something like that. But a big chunk of time has gone since the first film, which is fine, right? All of that is fine. But we have Nick confront Holly, but in a way that you're like, surely. And, you know, knowing Nick, right, the character that we had in the first film, he would have been on Holly straight away. So the fact that we're having this conversation that, you know, you're just like, nah, you're not waiting years to have this conversation. So we have this conversation, but it's about like, where's the money? Where's the money? You know, and you're kind of like, I don't believe Merriman is telling his girlfriend the inner plans of this group. But here's the other thing. At the end of the first film, right, the plot is shown, right? The red herring and all of that jazz. So you're just like, so if, you know what I mean, everything was orchestrated by someone else, Merriman wouldn't even have the info, right? So it makes no sense for Holly to then go, this is where the money is. Because you're just like, how the fuck is she gonna know? Right? It just makes no sense. So that's how we start off. Now, again, like at the end of the first film, we have the whole, they're in London. And, you know, Connor's, firstly, he works at the stock exchange. So then what's that transition? But I don't believe they even indicated that they did anything in London. So it's all a bit like, okay, what? I don't know what's happening here, right? It's funny. In the production notes, it said that, you know, O'Shea Jackson, Donnie, like, to play the role this time around, he lost a load of weight. Now, in this film, and, you know, not being crazy or anything like that, but yeah, Donnie is a lot bigger in this film than he is in the first film, right? Donnie's been living large. So I don't even know how big did O'Shea Jackson get to be like, oh yeah, I lost. So I think he said 40 pounds, right? 40 pounds to play this role, which is kind of fucking crazy, right? It's kind of crazy. And the problem with it as well is there's a lot of stuff happening in this film where you're just like, yeah, that's not a thing. That's not possible to happen, right? There's a bit when characters have to do this big swim, right? And I'm not saying it's a little, I'm saying a big fucking swim, right? Which is, if you do not swim, you're gonna be mad tired, right? You're gonna be so fucking tired to do it. So the fact that we're saying that these characters, that Donnie and Nick are able to do this swim, no, that, like, it's just not a possibility, right? It's not a possibility. They're both dead, essentially. Then there's also a lot of climbing, right? Scaling down and climbing up, right? And even scaling down is tiring. That's a tiring prospect, you know? But especially scaling, pulling yourself up. And when you see the time frames in which it is needed to do that, these motherfuckers ain't doing it. There's no chance these fools are making the climb in that time frame, right? It's like, I don't know. I guess if they had a bit in the film where then maybe they're practicing, they're like, yo, to do this, we've got to do, so we got to work out, then you go, okay, fine. Right? Because regardless of what physical shape they are actually in, you know, we see that the characters are doing a thing. So you're like, okay, you know, fine. We can go with that. But there wasn't So you just roll your eyes. You're just like, there's no way they're swimming. There's no way they're climbing, right? This is farcical. So we have all of this. But then the team up. The team up makes no sense. The team up makes absolutely no sense, right? Because all you think of is undercover sting. Undercover sting. Like, there's no way anyone in their right mind would go, yes, Nick, you can join our gang. It's not a way. And the way, like, all of these cases were talked about, you're trying to tell us that this wasn't in the papers around the world. Right? Now, if this film was set in the 80s, even the early 90s, you go, okay, yeah. I mean, it would be easy to comprehend that no one around the world would know. But the way the news is these days, like, these things are all over the place, online, all over the place. So for all these other criminals not to go, wait, you look like, you know what I mean, to Nick, it's just like, yeah, come on now. Right? So the plot points do not add up one little bit. They just do not add up. So although this is a slicker looking film, right, it looks just 10 times better than the first, right? The production, it's sharp, right? They've put it together well, but the story is just implausible. The story makes absolutely no sense, right? Even when there's conflict in the group, right? I think you know where it's going, right? You know where it's going, but supposedly our characters don't. Which, like, there's so many things we're watching this, and I'm just scratching my head, going, how did they miss this plot hole? Right? How did they miss that plot hole? What about that plot hole? Like, there's so many holes in this. You think it's a sieve. You know what I mean? That's why this script is a sieve. It's bonkers. It really is. There's just a lot of goofy things going on. Even, right, they want to try and throw in this weird love story aspect, which you just, again, it's another scratch the head, right? Going out of the blue, right? There's no conversation, there's nothing, but we're trying to say that, you know what I mean? You just, oh man. It's just one of those films, people. It's one of those films. Look, if you really dug the first film, for sure, you will like this. You know? You'll like it. Right? But I think you have to really suspend your belief. You have to suspend your belief, people. You cannot go, well, these things are plausible, right? These things are not, right? You can't do any of that nonsense because, it's not a thing, right? You even have, right, in the first film, it showed that Bob and Nick ain't friends. But in this one, Bob's all helping Nick out, even with Nick, like, insulting Bob. Bob's still like, oh, I'll help you out. Blah, blah, blah. You're just like, yeah, I ain't buying that shit. Right? I ain't buying Bob helping Nick when Nick's being just a straight up dick to him. And then you've got the other weird things with the script, right? Well, not so weird, but it's just those lazy stereotypes, right? Nick being like, oh, French food's rubbish. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm pronouncing the words like this. But, and you're just like, do we have to do this? Right? These are cliched, hackneyed things that you would find in those 80s films, right? Like, the 80s action films were fun, right? 48 Hours, just Commando, Red Heat, Raw Deal, just all of them type of films, right? They're all fun. But they all had those lazy stereotypes of like Russians, French, Chinese, just you name it, they're there. So those things, they kind of worked in those films because it's just dumb and stupid, right? But it's kind of played in such a way, it's so laughable that you just enjoy it, right? But to try and put them in these films today, you're just like, what are we doing? Right? There's plenty of things Nick could have beef with, but just that fact that you have, Nick, he doesn't get along with anyone. Well, you're just like, listen, no one would work with him, right? Especially, there is no reason for anyone to work with him right now, right? So for him to have this bad attitude and be rude and everything, it's just like, what the fuck, son? What the fuck, right? It's just weird writing. Now, the film ends in a way that, kind of sets up a third film. I've seen in multiple places that a third film is coming, although that the second film didn't, I think it lost money. So it is kind of like, are they going to make a third? I don't even know. I'm not sure. But it's definitely left in a place where you could make a third. Right? There are plenty of questions because some information is relayed by someone and you're just like, okay, how? Right? How? Because that would mean, which then makes no sense, which then means why do the thing? Like, there's so many things here, and then you just like, what about everyone else? But yeah, it's left in that place. So, as I said, if you enjoyed the first Den of Thieves, if you enjoy a Jason Statham film, if you enjoy the Fast and the Furious films, then yeah, Pantera will work for you people. You know what I mean? You'll enjoy it, right? So, Den of Thieves Pantera is, now look, it's already done cinema, but it's hitting VODs, this week. So, if it seems like it is something that you will enjoy, and as I said, look, I've given you mad examples, right? So if any of those films are your cup of char, then you will want to, you will most likely want to check out Den of Thieves 2 Pantera. Dum 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 dum. And yeah, so it's already out VOD in the States. It came at the end of January, and the end of March, right? So yeah, this Friday, the 25th, it will hit VODs in the UK. So there you go, people. Den of Thieves, Pantera.